Imagine a land crushed under foreign rule. Villages burned, families broken, and a people desperate for hope. In the middle of this darkness, one man rose with the courage to defy an empire. This is the story of William Wallace, the Scottish rebel who turned resistance into legend. William Wallace was born around 1270, not into nobility, but into a Scotland struggling under the iron grip of England's King Edward I, a fearsome ruler known as Longshanks. English soldiers were everywhere, enforcing harsh laws and humiliating the Scottish people on their own land. Wallace, still just a young man, couldn't accept a life of submission. For him, a life without freedom was no life at all. His quiet defiance erupted into open rebellion when English soldiers took the lives of his family members. That personal tragedy lit a fire that would engulf all of Scotland. He gathered local fighters, common men like himself, and began launching daring, hit-and-run raids against English garrisons. His leadership was magnetic, his courage undeniable, and his tactical brilliance quickly transformed him from an unknown outlaw into a symbol of Scottish resistance. Word of his exploits spread like wildfire, inspiring others to take up arms. Then came the Battle of Stirling Bridge, the moment that would make him immortal. The Scottish rebels were vastly outnumbered by the professional English army. But Wallace had an advantage they didn't. He knew the land. As the heavily armored English knights and soldiers began to cross the narrow Stirling Bridge, he waited for the perfect moment. When half the army was across, trapped and unable to maneuver, Wallace gave the signal to attack. The result was a slaughter. The Scottish forces struck with devastating precision, blocking the bridge and cutting the English army in two. The English were trapped, crushed, and forced into a humiliating retreat. It was one of the most shocking and decisive victories of the Middle Ages, a victory of strategy and heart over sheer numbers. After this incredible triumph, William Wallace was declared Guardian of Scotland. For a brief, glorious moment, hope returned to the Scottish people. It seemed that freedom was finally within their grasp. But power attracts enemies, not only from the English but also from within. Rival Scottish nobles, jealous of his power and suspicious of his common birth, began to plot against him. Betrayal was inevitable. In 1305, Wallace was finally captured and taken in chains to London. King Edward sought to make an example of him, to break the spirit of Scotland by publicly executing its greatest hero. But Wallace refused to submit. Even as he faced brutal torture and a horrific death, his spirit remained unbroken. His final defiant shout, "Freedom!" echoed far beyond the execution square. That single word became a rallying cry. It inspired generations and fueled the continuing struggle for Scottish independence. Years later, it was Robert the Bruce who would pick up the sword Wallace had dropped, finishing the fight he had so bravely begun. William Wallace was more than a warrior. He was a voice for the oppressed, a symbol of unwavering resistance against impossible odds. He was a man who proved that even the most powerful empire cannot crush the human desire to be free. If you enjoyed this journey into medieval rebellion, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Legendary Lives for more powerful stories of leaders, warriors, and visionaries who changed the world. Thanks for watching.